Nukuhiva. There are a lot of beautiful tikis. This is one. There are a lot of these thatched buildings which are around what we first of all thought was something like a football pitch, but it turns out it's for the ceremonial dances, and it's got some absolutely beautiful tiki sculptures all around. Which is the last Marquesas island that we're going to be visiting today, in this trip, and looking forward to it. This has been an amazing place, Nukuhiva, really quite magic. This is the beach we're just leaving, the bay, Daniel's Bay, and this is the route we're taking out. Yesterday we went down there on the dinghy, ran that other creek and found a magical garden and a restaurant, can you believe? As soon as we get near the Pacific, it gets a lot rockier, as you can probably feel. And goodbye to land for a bit, for the next few hours, and then Tuamotu hopefully is just as beautiful. A chocolate bean in the making. There's a bigger one, and we've just eaten Manfred's chocolate, and it's amazing. I'm going to ask Manfred about the chocolate in a minute. It's delicious.
When it's yellow,
I could eat.
It's finished.
This is the coffee beans. There, right there. And do you make coffee?
Yes.
Lots of them. Wow. We're leaving Tuamotu with its beautiful undulating countryside and the magical mystical peaks that have now just disappeared behind that hill. We walked up to see Manfred the chocolate maker yesterday. He is an extraordinary eccentric man. He's German and has been living in French Polynesia for 30 years, 20 years, up the hill with a Polynesian girlfriend. And it really is up a long trek, miles from anywhere, through beautiful jungle, where we met a Polynesian Marquesan gardener who gave us grapefruit and all sorts of different things, star fruit and fruit that we'd never heard of, picked a cashew nut flower for us, and we ate the fruit. So we've had an amazing time in the Marquesas, and now we're moving on across the Pacific to the Tuamotus, and Gerald is going to be at the helm shortly. There he is. So we are just approaching the Tuamotus, which is one of 3 groups of islands in French Polynesia. What are your thoughts of the journey so far?
Well, one of the most exciting things about long distance sailing is the landfalls. If you remember, when we crossed the Atlantic, the landfall was St. Lucia. The first thing we picked up was the high ground above the crowds, and that was really fantastic when we saw that after over 3 weeks at sea. And then there was the long transit across the Pacific, which was again 22 days, and the first thing we arrived at night in Hivaroa in the Marquesas, and the first thing we picked up there were the lights of the village. And this is a shorter transit, just 500 miles, but we've just made landfall on the atoll of Makimo, and it probably won't show up very well on camera, but we can just see what look like palm trees growing out of the sea, and as we get closer it'll become clearer.
Just ahead you can see the first of the Tuamotus that we're going to visit. It's called Makimo, and it's one of the Tuamotus. They are atolls, the final stage of formation of atoll. It was an island. The island has sunk into the ocean, so there's a lagoon in the middle. Around the edge of the lagoon is a barrier reef, which is all that's left, which has formed a sandy islet. There are passages or passes in and out where the water tide goes in and out, so there's a huge current. Currently we're going around in circles waiting until that current is at its least strong, the slack tide, which we've been able to calculate using a guesstimator. And then once we're inside, in essence, a coral reef, and we have to find an anchorage where we won't damage the coral and where we can get the anchor down to the depth of the seabed. So looking forward to seeing what a Tuamotu's like. We're going through the pass right now. That's on the starboard side, on Walrus starboard side. Looks desert island like, with some concrete blocks on it too, which I guess is also something we've learnt. Desert islands aren't pristine necessarily. We'll see what it's like. Hopefully we can go ashore later. We're down to 3 knots of tide now against us. We chose a slack time. You can see all those riffles on the water. That's an indication of the turmoil that's going on beneath the sea. And it's quite hard to get Walrus to stay in a line because the current is pulling her all over the place. And we're aiming for that anchorage over there, hoping that there's, aim at the 5 minus, we're all hoping there's a bar and a restaurant there. So let's see what this Tuamotu Makimo brings. This Tuamotu is just a ring of coral barrier reef around a huge lagoon. I don't find it anywhere near as attractive as Marquesas, where I like the dipping green land. This is rather barren, but it is quite remarkable seeing coral everywhere. There literally is coral everywhere. And the colour of the sea where the boat is anchored is very beautiful.